Wrong way. That way. That way. Go. Okay. Hi. I don't know if I was going to say hi everyone, and I don't even know if anyone is going to show up to this. This is the first time I've done a YouTube live, and couldn't get my other computer to work, so I'm doing it in our TV room, which has terrible lighting. There's like a what's that? Move you. That way. Oh, still got this little weird halo thing going on. Oh, and no, that's terrible too. Okay. Will I be able to edit some of this out? I don't know. Anyway, if you can see this, say hi in the chat. You have to be a subscriber to the channel to chat. And that's only because I did this kind of last minute. And so I don't have any mods. Excellent. Hi, Cecily. How are you? Hi, Kristen. Excellent. So many people here. Amazing. So I have a whiteboard, and you can see I've already written on this because today we're going to do something that I do on a regular basis, which is my kind of 6-month marketing plan. And I have done this a bunch of times on the channel. I've never recorded myself doing it live, but I thought if I do it live, then I can answer questions kind of as we go. So to introduce myself, for people that I know that everyone watching right now already knows who I am. But if you stumble across this later on YouTube, I am Zoe York. I am a New York Times and USA Today bestselling author. I have been self-published for 11 years. And 10 years ago, 10 years and 5 days ago, I became a full-time author. I've been a full-time genre fiction romance author ever since. And right around now, 10 years ago, was the first time I ever did this. I often do it just on a blank piece of paper. I've done it on the back of an envelope before. I have done it in like fancy Excel. I'll do workshops. I need to get rid of that light. Oh, no, you know what? I think it's probably actually my overhead light, and we have this weird vertical line. It's very distracting to me. Anyway, we're going to hang in there. We're going to do our best. I have done this in workshops where I have it on like a fancy Google slide. And today we're going to try and do it on a whiteboard that I can't erase because I think at one point I did this in like a marker that I shouldn't have done it in. So we are going to look well, I don't know if I'll use that. Anyway, so I am primarily a romance author. I have written 75 romance books, but I also have written a couple of nonfiction books about genre fiction writing, mostly about romance. But I think that what I'm going to talk about is applicable to most adult genre fiction. And so I don't know. This might be interesting. It might not. But the primary reason for doing this tonight is because I also run something what I call on the back end a free book blast, like a romance writer free book blast, but colloquially has become known as Stuff Your Kindle Day. I have been running Stuff Your Kindle Day since December 2014. So we're coming up on this is the 10th year of Stuff Your Kindle Day. And over the last couple of years, it exploded outside of the parts of the readerscape that already know about ebook reading. That's who we advertised our Stuff Your Kindle Day, Stuff Your e-reader day to for years. For 8.5 years, Stuff Your Kindle Day was just to authors' newsletters, basically. Readers who already knew about ebook reading. And then last summer, something really exciting happened. And that was that TikTok heard about Stuff Your Kindle Day, and some TikTok influencers boosted it like way beyond ebook readers. So there were a lot of people who were, for the very first time, discovering that you could read digitally. You could go to Amazon, you could go to Kobo, you could go to Barnes & Noble, Apple, but most of them are going to Amazon, which is why Stuff Your Kindle Day is now like a trending hashtag frequently. And download ebooks, tons and tons of ebooks for free that you get to keep that aren't part of Kindle Unlimited. And I put a little asterisk on that. I might make a separate video about the current reader confusion about Kindle Unlimited and actually owning ebooks, and we're in a subscription age, and that is a whole thing. Anyway, so for 10 years, I have been organizing these free book blasts, and it's a collaborative community event. It benefits authors, it benefits readers. It's just a good thing. It's great. And ever since it blew up, readers and authors um, put a lot of they put a lot of pressure on it, which is fine for me as an organizer. That's fine. But individually for authors, it can feel like a Stuff Your Kindle day is like make or break. And I really wanted to make it clear that that's not at all how I think about it. The very first Stuff Your Kindle day, December 2014, was December 26th. It was Boxing Day in Canada and the UK and the rest of the Commonwealth. Um, was just a bonus marketing thing that I wanted to do. So in October of 2014, I had a book so if you don't know what a book is, a book featured deal. I mean, there's other ways you can advertise now, but back in 2014, that was the only thing that BookBub offered. BookBub in October 2014, and it did really well. Like I had 25,000 downloads on BookBub Day, and then they just kept going, and it lasted into November, and then the tail started to drop off. So the first thing that I want authors who are newer to marketing a lot of genre fiction books, the first thing that I want you to know is that tail, like the drop off of marketing tail, petering out is normal. Literally so normal. Everyone has it. So publishing is not about constantly tearing up and then staying at a new plateau. Unfortunately, that is not the business of publishing. And if you are an outside observer and you see somebody and they seem to blow up, and they might even seem to blow up to such proportions that you might think they might never fall from that high, like they are the next Nora Roberts or they are the next Stephen King. I have been around long enough to see the next Nora Roberts and the next Stephen King tumble and fall 3 years, 5 years, 1 year after reaching what seems like an insurmountable high. First of all, I could never do what they did, and they're never going to lose their readers. Over and over and over again. Publishing is all about ups and downs. And as somebody who came from a different career, when I wanted to replace that career with writing, it was really important to me that I have income stability. That I needed to figure out a way to smooth out my income and augment the peaks and valleys, like smoothen the gaps, because there were, when I first started, there were peaks and then there were valleys and peaks and valleys. And man, I mean, the peaks are nice, but the valleys are brutal. And if you don't understand that it's a cycle, you might never survive your first valley. If you don't save enough, if you don't understand some of the things some of the marketing cogs or levers that we can push to kind of pull up out of a nosedive and plateau out. So the first time that I did what I'm about to show you, which is my 6-month marketing exercise, was in a response to like my panicky heart going, okay, we have to replace our full-time income. How do we do that now? How do we make a regular, steady full-time income from publishing? So I thought, and this just made sense, I wanted to have a steady monthly paycheck. I should have a steady monthly marketing effort. So the very first thing that I did, the very first thing that we'll do today is we'll just scribble out these months because they don't make any sense. We are going to, what month is it now? May. It's May. So first rule of the marketing calendar is that it's hard to make money suddenly this month. So a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about in a minute are levers that we can push, but easiest to push 30 to 60 days from now. Pushing a lever tomorrow in publishing is possible, but it's a bit of a niche thing, and it really depends on having your own platform already. So if people have questions about that, we can talk about that at the end. But right now, I'm going to operate on the principle that most of us only can access things like, well, I'm going to get to what the things are, but things that we can do today that will maybe generate us income in a month or two. So we are going to start in June. June, July, August, September, and I'm just gonna go. I don't know if I'm is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, November. You know what? Just because it's going to the end of the year, December, I'm gonna do 7 months. Okay, so we grid out our months like this. And normally I have room on the side here for the series names, but I forgot to do that because this is my first YouTube live, and I'm a little nervous. So I'm going to put the series over here, but you could put them over there. Okay. And if you do, I have a copy of it right here? I don't think I do. I'm so disorganized. Um, if you want to see this in like a nicer version, you could check out my website, romanceyourbrand.com, or look if you have a copy of Romance Your Goals, which is my second nonfiction book. I talk about this strategy a lot in that book. Okay, so if you have a new release planned at any point in the next year, that's the most important thing that we put on our marketing calendar because it's the lever that is going to generate us the most income. Oh no, is there a sound visual disconnect? Is anyone else experiencing that? I see that comment. I'm sorry if there is. Could just be my terrible computer because my other computer, apparently, my browser wasn't good enough to do the thing. Well, if this isn't working for you, then don't worry. There's another video elsewhere on my YouTube channel that's like recorded. Um, there is a delay, but we can hear fine. A little bit of a lag between video and sound. Hmm. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to turn this way, and then it won't matter what my mouth is doing. Okay. So, um, if you have a new release, that's the most important thing to put on our calendar. So I'm gonna put down here a priority list. New books. So the first thing that we want to do is put our new books on. So in my Pine Harbor series, I'm going to have a new release, I think in December. And I'm just going to call it X because I don't want to say the title yet. So I'm going to have a new release here. And I think that I might also have a hockey book. And I'm going to have a new hockey book, I think, in November. I don't plan to have any new releases before that, which is a shame because it's May. And ideally, I would have more. Well, first of all, it would be great if these were spread out, but they're not. And it would be great if I had another new release, but I don't. So, how do I shore up my income before I get to the end of the year when I'm going to have new releases? Now, I just lectured people in my free book blast organizing thing to not talk about the dates for the next event. But now we're like 15 minutes into this. Probably nobody's going to watch this, right? I'm going to talk about it. And you know what? Because there's a bit of a sound glitch, I'm probably going to like make this like delisted at the end. So there's a free book blast in June and there's another one in September, but each of us can only put one book in one of those. We have to choose. And it also is like, are you the first 1,000 people to sign up for it? So that's an aside. If I do decide to keep that up, that is just a special consideration that I'm doing for June and September. Come December, there will be another free book blast, and it will have as many books as we can put in it. So let's say that I'm going to put a book in either June or September. Is that the next priority that I put on my marketing calendar? It's not. We're going to leave that. But it is in the back of my head, as I'm sure it is in, I mean, all of you who came to talk to me tonight, I'm sure it's in your head. You're like, yes, Zoe, tell us when we put it in. Where's the priority? It's not on the priority list yet. The next thing that I like on a priority list is visibility events. And I will share a couple of slide decks in the Facebook group because like this was already technically a lot for me. Sharing anything here at the same time is probably impossible. But you don't have to like worry about remembering this because I'll be able to share the slides. I'll just share a link afterwards. Um, Visibility events are things like a new cover or a rebrand. If you have a book that is part of a trending trope and you can hop on, like, really push that book for a month on TikTok, that would be another example of a visibility event. Or promoting any of your backlist to either cold audience or warm audience is another visibility event. Basically, a visibility event is taking any of your existing catalog and pushing it somehow out there without a price change. Okay? So the next priority that I have after new books is a visibility event. And the reason why I prioritize this over something like a discount is that if a visibility event works as a lever push, then it makes you more money than a discounted book. The difference between a 99-cent book and a $2.99 book is that you need to sell 6 times as many 99-cent books to make as much money on a $2.99 sale, one $2.99 sale. That is true on Amazon. It's slightly different on Kobo. Amazon has a 35% and 70% royalty split, and Kobo is like 45%, and Apple's again different. But anyway, 99 cents, you don't make as much money as you do at $2.99. It's 10 times different, 99 cent to $4.99, and that discrepancy only goes up the more expensive your books are normally. And of course, that's different again if you are in KU and you're comparing a sale, actual physical sale of a book, or not physical, an actual permanent sale of a book that you earn a royalty on versus page reads. Again, there's a lot of math in making the decision about whether visibility or discounting makes sense. If you have a really, really big catalog, we're going to talk about discounting next. But if you have a really, really big catalog, then regular discounting might actually be better than visibility because regular discounting takes less effort. So you'll also notice that my priority stack goes in like backwards order from most amount of effort to lowest amount of effort. Writing a new book takes the most amount of effort. A lot of what I'm going to suggest as visibility events also takes a medium amount of effort. Coordinating new covers, relaunching that, making TikToks. I mean, it's either your effort or your money to pay somebody else for their effort, right? But still. So I have a new Pine Harbor series that I'm launching in December. So it would make sense to do some sort of visibility event in that world because it's a new series, but I have 2 series before it. It would make sense to do some sort of visibility event in that world before this series. And because I also want to do some of the other marketing events that I'm going to talk about, I think like September or August would be a really good time to do a visibility event. It also happens that August is the 10-year anniversary. 10-year anniversary of me starting writing in Pine Harbor. So I've been writing in this world for 10 years. There's 13 books across 2 series, and I'm about to launch this one. So this is a visibility event. I might choose to rebrand. I might choose to just do a big social media push. I don't know. But some sort of visibility event around the 10-year anniversary is obvious and makes sense. For my hockey series, since I have a new release here, I think in June, because I don't want to do it in the same month because it's a medium effort kind of thing. I don't want to do a visibility thing in August. So maybe in June, I might do, I don't know, I did that in orange. I should have done that in blue. I might do a special edition cover reveal for a book in the back. or a backlist book rather. I might do that in June in that series. So this series is covered. That series is covered with at least one visibility event. I think I will also possibly have an audiobook coming out here. I don't know if audio for me personally with my catalog, I don't know if it counts as a new product. I mean, it is a new product, but it also feels like it's a visibility event. I'm just going to put it here anyway. Audio, question mark. Okay. So visibility, and I could come up with other visibility events, but let's be honest, I don't love the effort. It's hard work. So the next priority down the list is discounting. And if anyone is in Lana Johnson's Indie Inspiration Group, or if you have seen her talk at 20 Books or any of the other conferences where she's talked about this, or if you are on her mailing list as a reader, you'll notice that she does a discount frequently only to her newsletter. So I would say that it's important to differentiate a discount that you are paying money to support, like for example, a book club feature deal, or a discount that you are primarily leveraging to your own audience, like a warm audience. One of those things is much easier than the other. Well, one of those things costs less than the other, but it also costs less time and it's a little less stressful. So if you are in KU, for example, you can use your free days, just like 2 or 3 of them over a weekend for any book in your backlist, like with 1 day's notice. So that is something that you can do this month to generate, like to push a lever this month that actually affects change this month. Is if you have a mailing list, you can do a 99 cent or free sale and just tell your newsletter about it and no other cost. But you can also try to get a book club feature deal. So for both of these series, I'm really off of book club feature deal. I'll be honest, between us, I find them very hard to earn out on. So I don't know, but probably I will try to get a book club feature deal. Somewhat like on Pine Harbor. This is gonna bug me forever that that's orange. So 1 second. I need to get rid of that. I'm gonna put that back in blue in a second. Okay. So where was I? Discounts. So the other thing you could do is a discounted pre-order. And I don't really want to do a discounted pre-order on this hockey book, but I could do a discounted pre-order on that one when I announce it, which I'm not announcing until then. So I might do a book club feature deal and then immediately follow it with a short pre-order. And when I say pre-order discount, I mean like it's $3.99 instead of $5.99. I don't love a 99 cent pre-order for that math reason that I talked about before. Like you'd have to have exponential volume to make up for the fact that the reduced income that you get on that. But yeah, I think that's all the discounts. No, that's not all the discounts that I'm planning. Not in this same series, but in another series that I have. I'm gonna draw a line here. So right now I'm trying to build this just to support 2 frontlist series, but I have written a lot of books. So I have some backlist books. So I'm going to put Zoe and Ainsley backlist. So this is any book from that backlist catalog. I will definitely do some over the summer because like people want something new to read over the summer kind of frequently. I will do some regular the Alana Johnson thing that I talked about, 99 cent discount, 99 cent discount, 99 cents. Just any book from my backlist at least once a month, mostly to my newsletter. I don't think these will be ad supported. Whatever I do in September will be ad supported, but these will just be to my newsletter. And they might move enough books to make me $50 or $100 or maybe more. That would be great if it was more, but it might just be a small little lever push. Everything adds up if you do it enough times on enough books. Okay, so that's discount. Then the last thing, and I could only find 3 whiteboard markers, so we're gonna have to go back to blue again. The last priority is cross promo. And this is where what we call Zoe Bub, the free book blasts falls in here. So first you figure out what your visibility plan is. Then first you figure out your new releases. Then you figure out new here, new hockey book. So first you figure out your new releases. Then you figure out your visibility events. Then you build in some discounting strategies, and then you go to cross promo. And so the way that I like to think about cross promo, Cecily, I see your question. I'll come to it in a second. The way I think about cross promo is that there are 3 kinds of cross promo we can do. There's exclusive cross promo, which is like a one-on-one collaboration with 1 or 2 or maybe up to 3 authors. Then there is small group collaboration or cross promo, which is like very niche. So if you've got 5 to 20 people and you're all very, very similar, then you could do something with them. That's a small group. And then there's the large group, which is like 20 plus. So that's more broadly a subgenre or cross genre even event. Like for us, what I do with my romance free book blast is it's just romance books, but it's also grown a little bit. It also includes romance adjacent genres like women's fiction, young adult, mystery, urban fantasy. Yeah. And but it's, it's all romance. And so people will find a bunch of stuff in that promo that they like. So I like to do at least like one of each of those. So if anyone is familiar with like the idea of like a newsletter round robin, for example, that would be a small group collaboration. Um, if you have ever done a one-on-one exclusive newsletter swap, that is an exclusive collaboration or exclusive cross promo. I try to do both of those at least once a month. So I could tick like, yep, I've got some it's backlist that I mostly do that on. So yep, I do some cross promo most months like this. And then we're still going to come to the big event, right? Then what you want to do is you want to look vertically at each month. And you want to ask yourself, am I doing enough in this month to meet my income goals? So in June, I'm going to maybe release a special edition of a hockey book, and I'm going to do a 99-cent sale on my backlist. It might be enough. I mean, it kind of depends on how May goes, right? But I might think about releasing like a little summer novella or something like that. Then I come to July. And in July, I have no visibility event planned. I have nothing new. My cross promo at this point is, I mean, it's set for the year and it's like I can see that it's moving the needle a little bit, but it's not going to like get me extra income. So in July, I might want to try and figure out some sort of cross promo that might actually move the needle, which is tricky, but not impossible. Or the thing that I said in June, could I write like a little summer beach read novella? Maybe that goes into July. That might make sense. So I'm going to think about a new novella. It just feels like it would be that July needs it more than June, which then brings me back to the cross promo. So this line down at the bottom, I'm thinking about what can I add in that is on top of what I've already done. So I'm thinking if I might try to write a little bonus novella to release in July. So in June, I might really want to do that Zoe Bub. So let's compare that to September, for example. So in September, I'm really starting with that BookBub feature deal that I hope to get in September, but might get in October. These two discounts could swap, for example. If I don't get a BookBub feature deal for September, I can keep trying for October, and I can bring up that pre-order launch to September. They could swap. In September, October, November, December, I'm really starting to like ramp up towards my new releases. If either of those new releases were later in a series, then I might care more about having the free book, the big free blast, be on an early in the series book in September. But they're not. One of them, this is book 3. I'm not ready to make book 1 free yet. And this is book 1 in a new series. So I kind of don't care if I participate in the September Zoe Bob or not. Now, don't get me wrong. If it were normal circumstances and I like the world and all that, all those influencers. If every Zoe Bub was just open to as many authors as we could do, then I would find a backlist book to put in June, and I would find another one to put in September, the way I will find one in December because it's open to all of us. But if I were to pick between June and September, I would hope for June for myself. If I'm not one of the first 1,000 to fill out the form, obviously I can control that a little bit. But you know what I mean? I'm pretending to be you for a second. If I'm not one of the first 1,000 to fill out the form in June, then I will happily take Zoe Bob in September. That's great too. But ideally, I want it here. Now, let's say that I don't get it here. And then I'm hoping that I will get it here. And I think everyone that doesn't get it in June will get it in September, just from based on how many people have participated. Um, if I don't get it here, then I do want something else here. So maybe I could do another visibility event. All right. So that's kind of like I've got 3 things here, 2 things here, 2 things here, 3 things here, 2 things here. So really, I think that the only month that I only have one thing other than some regularly scheduled cross promo is November when I have a new release, which might be okay. So then, anyway, so that's how I do it. So set up the months, first plot in my new books, followed by visibility events, followed by discounts, followed finally by cross promo. And then once I have initially plugged it all in, I go vertically to make sure that each month looks like it's a balance. Because the other thing is, like I could put 5 things on each month, but that suddenly becomes a lot of work for me when I also want to write a book. So that's the other thing to consider is I have these 2 books in the 3 months before them. Do I really want to be like loading myself up on a lot of marketing work? I don't think so. Okay. I hope that that makes sense. It might not have made any sense. And now I'm about to push this easel out of the way. Oh no. Ah. Okay. So now if you have any questions, you can ask them in the chat. And the only question that I see so far is from Cecily, who asked, how can we leverage reviews into a marketing plan? That's a great question. I'm not sure. So, I mean, reviews are really helpful for giving you language that readers like, which you can repurpose possibly into like TikToks and Instagram reels. Um, they're very, one thing that I see other authors do, and I try to do, I sometimes forget, is tell your newsletter about the reviews. So if you get good reviews, like on the release, and that's another thing we could do a whole video on, is like how many emails you send around a release. One of those emails should be focused on just reviews that you've gotten. Like people are loving this book. Here are 3 reviews, 4 reviews, 6 reviews, whatever. That's a great place for them because that's a warm audience. That's another thing we could do a video on if I figure out the sound problem. Is we could do like is the warm audience versus the cold audience. And some of these things work better on cold audiences, some of them work better on warm audiences. Reviews are something excuse me, reviews are something that work best already on a warm audience. I don't think reviews particularly convert a cold audience to trying a book. All right. If there are any more questions, let me know in the chat. I'm going to make noise for about another minute. And then if there's no more questions, that was long enough. That was like 35 minutes. I will do this again because, well, if the sound's okay, if the sound is horrible, I'm not coming back because I'm not super techie. But I kind of like the whiteboard. Next time I know that I'm doing it on the whiteboard and not my laptop, I'll clean up a little more because this is my kids' room. Anyway, Thank you. If you have, I don't think, I think everyone who tuned in is really experienced, pretty experienced with Zoe Bub. Um, if you see, I'm going to post the link to this in the Facebook group. If you see anyone really struggling, just tell them to watch this video. I hope it helps. Just in terms of that like prioritization of where we put our energy. And so many I see so many people say, um, oh, that's a great question. Robert asks, I always feel like I have too few works. When is enough backlist? I don't know. I feel like I don't have enough either, and I have 70. So, keep writing. But I feel like once you have 10 books, this kind of a thing starts to make a lot of sense. Before 10, then what I would, yeah, Alexis, it's fine to share in a couple of other author groups. It's fine. Before you have 10 books, what I would do for this is instead of thinking monthly, I would think quarterly. So like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, which aligns with HB90 if you've taken HB90, Sarah Cannon's like quarterly author planning thing. Um, where was I going with that? Yeah, so it's just like so it's basically 4 blocks instead of 6 or 12 blocks because I often sometimes do this for an entire year too. Okay. Tracy asks, what about paid newsletter ads? Where do they fit in? Yeah, so see where I have BookBub feature deal right there? That's a paid newsletter ad. And I only have one on this entire year, but you could certainly have more. Like I just did oh, what's it called? One of them. I just did one of them, 2 of them because they were on sale. A guy sends an email with a discount code and I did it. Fussy Librarian or Book Spry? I think it might have been Fussy Librarian. Free Booksy? No, it was not Free Booksy. Free Booksy is written word media, and I mean, they're fine, but they're only just fine, and I feel like they're overpriced. I also, full disclosure, do not like my romance reads. Mm-mm. Dislike. I don't even know if they're around. Dislike. No, it wasn't Red Feather Romance is also written word media. Written word media is fine, but their list is almost exclusively freebie hunters. Whereas I do sometimes see better sell through from Bookspry. Now, all of you are going to go Bookspry, and then I won't be able to book it next time. That's okay. For value for money, I like Bookspry. Fussy Librarian is okay if you get a 25% coupon, which I just did. And so I did 2 of those. One in the end of April, one today. Oh yeah, I think if anyone has a Fussy Librarian email, check and see if my book is in it today. Reckless at Heart. I saw the download start to pop up. So so I mean I like those, they're okay, but I find that as far as like measuring the value of pressing on the lever of something, they're okay. They're certainly not going to make like full-time money or anything like that. Um uh Katie asks, for the paid newsletter ads, are they always discounted? Or are they sometimes visibility if you're not discounting? So as far as I know, and like I could be wrong, but Red Feather Romance is the only one I can think of where you can list something that's like regular price. Um, I don't know. I haven't tried it, so I've only tried the discount. That's a good question. You could test it if it's not. So here's my spiel about paid newsletters for people who are just starting out. If whatever the cost is, if it's $57 or $69 or $599, if whatever the cost of a paid newsletter ad is, if it makes you feel gross, don't do it. It's not worth it. There is no paid newsletter that is a guaranteed ROI. Once upon a time, I might have said that about BookBub. I do not say that about BookBub anymore. There are other ways to leverage to like start to find momentum in non-paid ways to generate enough revenue so that you can feel better about paying for those paid newsletters because there's sometimes a bit of a uh, um, sometimes there's a bit of a dodgy ROI. Yeah, so the BookBub new release paid thing, I've never had a positive ROI on it. Once upon a time, like they changed it and it completely cratered. I don't know what they did. I think they might have cleaned up their list and they cleaned it up not in a good way. But that has had a negative ROI for me every time I've tried it. So I do not recommend it. Um, And so Suzanne asked, "Does this plan insulate you from those drastic fluctuations in income?" Yes. I mean, like, you still a new release is still a better month than a non-new release. But here's what I notice when I don't do this, is that I only have those new releases. And, like, sometime in September, I start to panic, and I'm like, "Oh, I haven't done anything. Oh, I missed my 10-year anniversary. Oh, I could have taken advantage of that." I haven't done a special edition cover for my hockey books. I forgot to run 99 cent sales every month, all summer long. If I don't consciously think about it, now this is about a strengths thing. Some of you are just like deeply organized and you're like, this is not special. I already do this. Well, that's lovely. But I don't do this unless I consciously think about it. Once I consciously think about it, then yes, I do see my income kind of level out, steady out. But like, it's certainly not, I won't say that any of these three equal the value of a well orchestrated new release. No, I mean, there are lots of new releases that bomb. I've had new releases that bomb. But like, in terms of energy, right? Like, which do I put my energy on? I put my energy on trying to make my new releases actually move, like, have cumulative progressive growth, which is something that I talk about in my first book, Romance Your Brand. Wow, I've pitched both of them in this little live. That's great. Yeah, I really strongly think that new books are where what drive most of your money, but you can also use some of this stuff. So another way to do this, oh, I thought that we were done, but we are not done because I'm going to erase all of this. I'm going to erase all of this. And we're going to talk about as like there's radio silence and everyone's leaving. Okay, well that's really really messy, but that's reality. Um, Now I want to briefly talk about how to use. Can't read anything on the whiteboard. Is it backwards? Oh my god, have I been doing all of this? And well, yeah, I mean, if you can't read my handwriting, don't worry about it. I'm going to give you a slide that kind of like makes that clear. It's more like for the visual, like just. But if anyway, we're going to do the best we can. But I'll give you a slide that is like a pretty Google Drive version of what I'm doing. I just couldn't make the two. Okay, good. I'm glad that it's not backwards. Because that would just mess with my head if the calendar was backwards and I kept going the other way. All right. I want to talk about extending a new release and why something like this is important to bracket around a new release. So let's zoom in and let's look at a 90-day period. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to have a new release in, what did I say? November and December. So let's do November, October, December. We're going to, man, I cannot write. October, November, December. How do we take one release and we turn it into, so new book? How do we take that one release and turn it into 3 months of content? So starting like let's say 6 weeks before release. So let's say I don't actually know. I don't actually know if my release is in November. 20, let's say the 15th. It's probably not even a Tuesday. Okay, anyway. Let's just go like pretend it's the absolute dead middle of the month. It's easier that way. So we've got 6 weeks before, and we've got release week, and we've got 6 weeks after. So just newsletter alone. But we could also talk about ads, we could talk about social media, and we could talk about cross promo. Don't worry if you can't read what these say here. It's literally just different categories. And I'll have a slide that makes this clear. So it's like for our new release, we have 4 different ways that we could constantly be talking about our books: newsletter, ads, social media, and cross promo. So ask yourself, how many newsletters do I send out about a new release? Is it 1? Is it on release day? Is it 3? Is it release day and then a thank you one after and then maybe one a bit before? Or is it 12? Is it 1 a week for 12 weeks on either, like 6 weeks on either side of the event? Or is it, and I know I'm already losing some of you when I say that, so your heads are about to explode. Um, is it like 24? Is it 1 to 2 a week in the lead up? Is it like 3 or 4 in the middle? And is it like 2 a week after because you continue to be excited? We're gonna talk about the reviews. We're gonna talk about any aesthetics that are made either by ourselves or by other readers. So really, there's a lot of work we can do to just extend a release through email marketing. And remember, because I can feel some of your like buttholes clenching up. Remember, every single person who signs up on your newsletter wants to get email from you. The people who do not want to get email from you are elsewhere. They are on social media, they are, checking out your website. They will get their information elsewhere. Don't worry about it. Your email list is for people who want you to email them at least 12 times around a release, preferably 24. Oh, I'm definitely doing a video on just that one. I love that. I love that topic. Okay, ads. I do not love ads. Same answer as before. If it makes you feel sick to spend the money, please don't. But you can extend ads. You can do ramp up ads. You can do a big push here. I am not the girl to hype ads, but it gets its own call. It gets its own row. Social media. You could definitely do visibility events around a release on both sides of a release and cross promo. There's a variety of ways that we could use cross promo. Setting an earlier book in the series to free and doing big blasts, doing clustered blasts. You could do like bundles with other authors. You could do a bundle of your own books. There's a whole bunch of things that we could do. And so what I like about doing the big 6-month calendar is that it gives me kind of the broad strokes, and then I like to zoom in and do a separate little calendar around a release. Okay? All right. I will build that slide in a pretty readable version, and then I will share a bunch of Google Slides in the Facebook group. So if you happen to be watching this because someone shared it, it is public, that's fine. And you're like, what are you talking about, Facebook group? Here's the deal. At the very end of this 47-minute long video, I run a group where we organize the free book blast, also known as Stuff Your Kindle Day, that is hosted on the Romance Bookworms website. There is a 4 authors page on the Romance Bookworms website. If you want to participate, do not message me and ask me how to get into the group. Like a dozen people do that every single week. And full disclosure, I ignore all of those requests. The instructions are very clear on the website. Find someone. There are literally 5 so crucially important that you watch the next events even. Find someone who is participating, has participated. You can probably find it from hashtags on social media. But as an author, it is your job to do some market research. As an author, it is your job to network. So I'm giving you that task of networking, finding somebody, not me, who is already in the group and ask them for an invite. Now, but this last note is for authors who are in the group. If somebody reaches out to you and they ask for an invite and they aren't rude about it, please find a way to invite them. That helps me a lot, because otherwise I get the DMs that say, I did ask some people and they ignored me, and then I do invite them. Nobody please use that as a hack to get to me, because then I just like turn off social media completely. But then I do let them in, and then I'm grumpy. And I don't like it when I get grumpy. My kids don't like it when I get grumpy, and you guys don't like it when I get grumpy. I'm very mom-like in that regard. Okay. On that mom note, it's been 15